Charlie Chaplin stands at Station 14 of the Electro Steel Corporation's assembly line, gripping his wrench with both hands while bolts speed past him on the conveyor belt at an inhuman pace. The factory foreman approaches his workstation and shouts over the mechanical din, "Chaplin, the machine doesn't wait for anybody. Keep up or get out." What unfolds during the next 47 minutes of Charlie's shift doesn't just demonstrate the dehumanizing effects of industrial mechanization, it reveals how modern production systems can strip away human dignity, creativity, and sanity, turning workers into extensions of the machines they serve rather than masters of their own labor. Electro Steel Corporation Factory, Detroit, August 15, 1935. Monday morning, 8:30. The factory floor stretches endlessly under harsh electric lights, filled with the constant noise of machinery, steam hissing, metal clanging, and hundreds of workers performing repetitive motions in perfect synchronization. This is the height of the Great Depression, when any job, no matter how soul-crushing, represents survival for desperate families. Charlie, at 46, has been working this assembly line position for 6 months after losing his previous job as a department store night watchman. The Electro Steel Corporation manufactures automobile parts using the latest efficiency methods developed by industrial engineers who study workers' movements with stopwatches, calculating how to extract maximum productivity from human labor. His job requires him to tighten 2 bolts on each piece of metal that passes his station on the moving conveyor belt. The belt moves at a speed determined by factory engineers to maximize output while theoretically remaining within human physical capabilities. Workers are forbidden from adjusting the belt speed, taking unscheduled breaks, or deviating from their assigned motions. Station 14 sits between Station 13, where his colleague Joe tightens different bolts, and Station 15, where Martha applies lubricant to the completed assemblies. All 3 workers must maintain perfect timing. If any one of them falls behind, the entire line backs up, triggering immediate supervisory attention. Remember, Foreman Bill Henderson had explained on Charlie's first day, the machine sets the pace. You don't control when to work, how fast to work, or when to rest. Your job is to match the machine's rhythm perfectly. This philosophy represents a fundamental shift in the relationship between workers and their labor. Traditional craftsmen controlled their own pace, chose their own methods, and took pride in individual skill. Modern industrial workers surrender all autonomy to mechanical systems designed by engineers they'll never meet. Charlie initially approached the job with characteristic optimism, viewing it as temporary employment while he searched for better opportunities. But 6 months of identical motions performed thousands of times daily has begun affecting his physical and mental health in ways he didn't anticipate. The repetitive wrist motion required from bolt tightening has caused chronic pain that keeps him awake at night. The constant noise has given him persistent headaches. Most disturbingly, he's begun experiencing what he privately calls ghost motions. His hands automatically perform bolt tightening gestures even when he's not at work, during meals, conversations, and while trying to sleep. "Joe," Charlie says to his Station 13 colleague during their 10-minute lunch break, "do you ever feel like the machine is turning us into machines?" Joe, who's worked industrial jobs for 15 years, shrugs wearily. "That's the point, Charlie. They don't want us to think or feel. They want us to be reliable like machines, but cheaper to maintain." "But what about our humanity, our creativity, our individual personalities?" "Leave those at home. In here, you're just Station 14. This conversation captures the essential conflict of industrial labor, the tension between human nature and mechanical efficiency. Workers possess creativity, emotions, physical limitations, and personal needs that don't align neatly with mechanical requirements. Industrial systems attempt to suppress these human qualities rather than accommodate them. As the morning shift progresses, Charlie notices how the work affects his fellow employees. Martha at Station 15 moves with jerky mechanical motions that mirror the machinery. Her face has become expressionless, her eyes vacant. She no longer acknowledges greetings or responds to attempts at conversation.
Bill, a veteran worker at Station 8, has developed a nervous tic where his hands continuously make screwing motions even when he's not working. During breaks, he sits alone, staring at nothing, his hands moving constantly in the learned patterns. Most disturbing is what happened to Fred, Charlie's predecessor at Station 14. According to factory rumors, Fred suffered what supervisors called a nervous breakdown after 2 years on the line. He began laughing uncontrollably during work, then started tightening bolts on anything he could find, other workers' clothing, furniture, even his own body. He was quietly dismissed and hasn't been seen since.
At 10:15, the morning's crisis begins. A mechanical malfunction causes the conveyor belt to speed up unexpectedly, moving 30% faster than its normal pace. The supervisors, rather than stopping the line to fix the problem, decide to see if workers can maintain productivity at the increased speed. "This is your chance to prove you're valuable employees," Henderson announces over the factory intercom. "Show us you can keep up with progress." Charlie immediately recognizes the impossibility of the situation. The belt now moves too fast for human reflexes to handle safely. Workers begin falling behind, creating a backup that threatens the entire production schedule. But stopping the line would halt factory output and cost the company money. Joe, desperately trying to keep pace, begins skipping some bolts entirely, hoping supervisors won't notice. Martha starts applying lubricant hastily, creating messy, inadequate coverage. The quality of the work deteriorates rapidly, but the quantity increases. Charlie faces a choice: compromise his work quality to match the impossible pace, or maintain his standards and fall increasingly behind. He chooses to maintain quality, accepting that he cannot physically keep up with the accelerated machinery. The inevitable happens. Charlie's station becomes a bottleneck as pieces back up behind his careful, thorough work. The backup spreads down the line, eventually stopping production at multiple stations. Henderson storms over to Station 14, furious. "Chaplin, you're holding up the entire factory. What's your problem?" "The speed is unsafe, sir. I can't properly tighten bolts at this pace without risking injury or producing defective work." "The machine determines the safe speed, not you. Your job is to keep up, not make excuses." "But sir, look at the quality of work being produced at this speed. Half these bolts aren't properly secured." "That's quality control's problem. Your problem is productivity." This exchange reveals the fundamental absurdity of industrial logic. Management demands both maximum speed and perfect quality, but these requirements contradict each other. When forced to choose, workers are blamed regardless of which priority they select. Henderson makes a decision that will haunt Charlie for the rest of his life. "You're going to Station 1 for retraining. If you can't handle simple bolt tightening, maybe you need to learn from the beginning." Station 1 represents the ultimate degradation, the position where new hires and problem workers are sent to perform the most basic, mindless tasks at the slowest pace. It's industrial purgatory, designed to break workers' spirits and force compliance. But Station 1's slower pace, intended as punishment, actually allows Charlie to observe the entire factory system with fresh clarity. From this vantage point, he can see how each worker has become an extension of their machine, how human individuality has been systematically eliminated, how the factory has created an environment that treats people as interchangeable mechanical parts. The revelation builds slowly. Charlie begins to understand that this isn't just a job, it's a comprehensive system for transforming humans into machine components. Every aspect of factory life, from the timing of breaks to the prohibition against conversation, serves to eliminate human unpredictability and creativity. At 11:47, Charlie experiences what he later describes as mechanical madness. The repetitive motions, combined with the stress of the morning's crisis and his growing understanding of the system's dehumanizing purpose, trigger a complete psychological break. He begins tightening bolts on everything within reach: other workers' buttons, the water fountain, window handles, even people's noses.
His movements become increasingly frantic and mechanical, as if he's become the machine he's been serving. "Someone stop him!" Henderson shouts as Charlie moves through the factory, wrench in hand, compulsively tightening anything that resembles a bolt or screw. But Charlie can't stop. 6 months of suppressed creativity and individuality explode in a manic episode of mechanical behavior. He's not choosing to act this way. The factory has programmed these responses into his nervous system. The factory's response is swift and predictable. Security guards restrain Charlie, a company doctor declares him temporarily unfit for industrial labor, and he's escorted from the premises with a small severance payment and a medical recommendation for rest and recuperation.
As Charlie sits on the factory steps, still experiencing involuntary bolt-tightening motions, he realizes that what happened to him represents a larger crisis. Industrial systems designed to maximize efficiency have begun destroying the human qualities that make work meaningful. The 47 minutes he spent experiencing mechanical madness taught him that modern production methods create a fundamental conflict between human nature and economic efficiency. Workers are expected to surrender their humanity to serve machines, but humans cannot become machines without losing their sanity. Years later, when Charlie creates his film, Modern Times, he draws directly from this factory experience. The famous assembly line scene where the little tramp struggles to keep up with accelerating machinery reflects his real understanding of how industrial systems can overwhelm human capabilities. But the film's deeper message comes from Charlie's realization that mechanization itself isn't the problem. It's the subordination of human needs to mechanical efficiency. Technology should serve humanity, not the reverse. The factory experience also shapes Charlie's political views about workers' rights, economic justice, and the responsibility of employers to treat employees as human beings rather than production resources. In interviews decades later, Charlie often returns to that morning at Station 14. "I learned that when machines become more important than the people operating them, society has lost its way. Progress should enhance human dignity, not destroy it." The Electro Steel Corporation closed in 1962, replaced by more automated facilities that eliminated most human workers entirely. But the lessons Charlie learned during those 47 minutes of mechanical madness remain relevant to any era where economic efficiency takes precedence over human welfare. His experience demonstrates that true progress requires balancing technological advancement with respect for human creativity, individuality, and dignity, values that cannot be measured by stopwatch or calculated by industrial engineers.